What is your point of reference? What is your point of reference as a man? What is your point of reference as a woman? What is your point of reference as a father, a mother? What is your point of reference for love, your career, your surroundings, self-respect, your goals? What is your point of reference? I'm talking to somebody out there. You have horrible taste in friends. You have horrible taste in picking boyfriends, girlfriends. You have horrible taste in trusting people. What is your point of reference? Because you're 21 and older doesn't make you a man. Because you're capable of making a child doesn't make you a mother or a father. If you've witnessed failure all your life, you're either going to decide to break the cycle, or without you being conscious of it, you're a part of the cycle. You have become a duplicate of your mother and your father. You have become a duplicate of everything and everybody that you grew up around. Because why? That is your point of reference. That is the blueprint. You have become your mother and father without you knowing. Here's a little secret. I don't drink and I don't smoke. I don't do any type of drugs, ever. Because my life as a kid was consumed in all forms of alcohol and drug abuse. It completely turned me off. I decided I don't want to be like my mama or my daddy. People in my family, my boys, my homegirls, my surrounding, I want nothing to do with it. It was a conscious decision. I could have easily became a duplicate.
And I wonder how many people today are watching this message right now and you're trying to do it like someone else. You're trying to be just like somebody else. You're just a copycat and you're wondering, how come I feel stuck? How come I can't move forward? I got a feeling. Why don't you shed off that other person's armor and why don't you walk it out the way God called you to walk it out?
I am strong. I am talented. I am healthy, I am valuable. Those are not just positive affirmations. You just invoked a blessing on yourself. When you speak it out, you give life to what you're saying. It's not enough to just think this. You don't bless yourself by just dwelling on positive thoughts. Nothing happens until you speak. When you say, I am blessed, blessings come looking for you. When you say, I am prosperous, good breaks start heading your way. You have to say, I am confident, before you're going to feel confident. If you'll say it long enough, what happens is those words get down in your spirit. You believe what you say about yourself more than what anyone else says about you. When you hear yourself day after day, I am healthy, I am talented, I am confident, I am valuable, it's changing how you see yourself. Over time, you're going to become what you're saying. You are who you are in part today because of what you've been speaking over your life.
And what you believe about what you can be and what you believe about what you have inside of you and what you believe about what God called you to do and what you believe about what you're going through. That's what I'm talking about. The currency of confidence. So when you're young, you start borrowing confidence from the wrong places. You borrow confidence from sexual attractiveness. Partner after partner after partner after partner. And rather than ever being in a real relationship, the good part, where you have to love somebody for who they are, not what they look like, you take this feeling of, oh, I have somebody, and you borrow the confidence of having somebody. But when you borrow confidence from the wrong places, the interest rate is ridiculous. I'm talking about when you get in a relationship where you have to compromise your values to get your needs met. Y'all, that's worse than the check cash in place. It's an interest rate. And let me tell you another thing. While I got you fired up about all the people that you kept going to because you wanted them to validate you, but they can't because they're not God. They didn't make you. They don't know you like that. And they have their own insecurities. So leave them alone and get it from God. You keep trying to borrow confidence from people who have insufficient funds. They can't do it. They can't.
As a man, if my father was married to my mother for 30 years, I'll find myself looking for someone that reminds me of my mother, because that would be my point of reference. I will find myself trying to do all the things that I witnessed my father do as a husband. That's my point of reference. If my father is successful, he's an entrepreneur, he's constantly grinding, starting up new companies, negotiating, and I see him inspired and motivated all the time about life and career and trying to educate himself and further his way up the success ladder. That will become my blueprint and my point of reference for success. And I'll find myself wanting nothing more than to be a duplicate of my father, because that is my successful point of reference. Have you become a duplicate of your mother? Have you become a duplicate of your father? Have you become a duplicate of your parents, of your environment? See, I believe that we were all born individuals. God made me an individual. My head is not connected to anybody else. I am my own man. God made me individually me, so I can do and be and become anything I want to become. What is your point of reference?
Opposites in conflict. That seems to be the setup for a human adventure. One contesting against the other, vying for the territory. Would there be light without darkness? We probably wouldn't call it light. What gives us the value of one is the contrast of the other. But darkness is always trying to move in and take all the territory. But if you turn on the light, its energy starts to repel darkness. Darkness begins to move away. And the brighter the light, the further away the darkness must move. If you walk into a dark room and turn on the light, the darkness is what? Gone. But here's the point to remember, not very far. The darkness seems to be, yes, it's gone, but it's waiting for its chance. That if light loses its energy, darkness has a chance now to move back in. The better realistic illustrations, and that's health and illness at odds in your body. Illness trying its best to drive health into a small corner and occupy the territory. And health trying what? To push illness into a small corner. There's this contest going on. Who's going to occupy the territory? If one stays strong, the other is diminished. If the other gains in power, then the other is diminished. So what you must learn to do is cooperate with the positive side of everything in your body and your life. Sometimes we sabotage our own best interest. The body needs a banana, you send it a Coca-Cola. And the body says, what is the deal here? I'm health trying to drive illness into a small corner. I ordered a banana, you send me a Coca-Cola. So the body could rightfully say what? Whose side are you on? Give us a break here. We need every tool we can get to keep illness at bay. Because if we get weak, I'm telling you, it moves in, takes the territory. So we're in the middle of this contest, and here's what it's called, opposites in conflict. Here's one of the bigger conflicts, liberty and tyranny. Liberty is the absence of tyranny. But even though tyranny is conquered, it's not very far away. The same goes on in your bloodstream. Red corpuscles to nourish like a mother and give life. White corpuscles to fight and kill like a father. White corpuscles say, just show me some infection, I'll kill it. If I don't kill it, what? It killed you. Somebody's gonna get killed. In this contest, right? Good, evil, liberty, tyranny, right? Health, illness, winning and losing. There's the struggle going on. But here's the key. It's the only way, it seems, it's the only way to create a human adventure. Doesn't seem to be any other way, currently. Now some speak of a new heaven and a new earth. Maybe the whole arrangement will be different. Could very well be, but in this current experience, it seems like to create an adventure, to create a unique human scenario, we need opposites in conflict. That's the deal. You've always got to draw a line somewhere and tell illness, hey, you can't have any more. got to throw up the barriers, draw a line in the sand. Tyranny cannot be rehabilitated. Tyranny can only be restrained. We must play this game. We must fight this game. But here's what it creates: a great adventure. Let me give you the ultimate now. Could you win if you couldn't lose? And the answer is no, it doesn't seem like it. You couldn't call it winning. You can't win if you couldn't lose. So that's the deal now. Negative, positive. Would there be negative, positive without negative? No, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like this is the current setup.
The invisible is often more real than the visible. That sometimes the stuff that we collect, that we say is real, is less real than the stuff that we neglect because we can't see it. I'm talking about your state of mind. I'm talking about your relationships with others. I'm talking about the way that you process disappointment, those things, the way that you treat people who can't do anything for you, those things. You have this visible kingdom world, but there is an invisible kingdom within you that is more important than the kingdom around you.
Set your life on fire and seek those who fan your flames. Don't be hanging with no jank-ass jokers that don't help you shine. The prerequisite for spending time with any person is that they nourish and inspire you. They feed your flame. There's been very few times in my life that I looked left or looked right and didn't find a person who believed and supported me. There's always been a person beside me fanning my flames. Look at your last 5 text messages. Are those people feeding your flames or dousing your fire? The people that you spend time with are going to make or break your dreams. Everybody don't deserve to be around you. Look to the people around you. Are those people throwing logs on your fire or are they pissing on it? You got to defend your light with your life.
If you can't detach from yourself, then you can't see yourself. And so how do you detach from yourself? How do you learn to do that? And a good drill for this is try to imagine the way other people see you and what other people are thinking of you. One place where this happens, and it definitely happened to me, is when I started getting put in charge of things, I started thinking about other people's perspectives. If you're in charge, then what kind of representation are they receiving? And if you work for someone else, it's the same questions. What does the boss see me do? What kind of representation am I making of myself to my boss? So the question becomes, how well do you represent yourself? What shortfalls do you have? Now, when you first start looking, it's like you're looking at an overgrown lawn. There are some big, obvious problems, so you do a broad, just kind of general cut of the grass. You fix some of the big, easy problems. And once you've done that, once you've gotten rid of some of those big, obvious problems, you notice some more detailed problems. So you start trying to fix them.
You know, for the foreseeable future, it looks like it's been that way as long as we can remember and as long as the history tells us. So here's what you want to do if you want the adventure. You must learn to play this game, to work with all the positive forces to defeat the negative forces as early and as soon and as much as possible, to contain the ravages of disease that want to take you early. You got to fight back. You can't just leave it. Somebody says, well, I got my fingers crossed. Not a good philosophy. Jump on the positive side of whatever you want and see if you can't help out in this warfare and this push-shove match. That's the key. Don't neglect a new life if you've started a new life. What if you said to a brand new mother, where is your baby? She says, I have no idea. You would say, no, that isn't right. If you start a new life, you must care for it. You must protect it. You must give it life, give it nourishment. Now here's the other part. You must protect it. That's why the old wise man said, we must learn to love and hate. So underline that. You must learn to love and hate. And the illustration he used was, you must learn to love good and hate evil. To deal with the weeds in your garden, you got to hate weeds. You got to hate them enough to what? Kill them. You can't say, well, poor weeds. Say, no, this ain't the deal, poor weeds. Don't go soft on this stuff now. You got to hate evil. You got to hate the weeds that are out to destroy your garden and rob your children of the nourishment they deserve. You got to take the life of the weeds, or they will take the life of your garden. Somebody's going to get killed. Remember? So, learn the good evil. Now, here's the greatest battle in the mind. Here's what you must not become: a victim of yourself. What is that insidious voice inside your own head that says, you're too short, it'll never work for you, you're too tall, right? It's over for you, right? It's never worked for you before. What gives you any idea that it'll work for you now? You've never been able to rise up and take charge of your life. What makes you think you can do it now? There's going to be too many obstacles out there. You'll never overcome them all. What is that insidious voice? It's the same game going on inside your head that's going on in the world. Liberty and tyranny in a push-shove match. And here's what you've got to do. Cooperate with the positive side of your life and let faith drive out doubt, right? Let winning drive out losing. Let positive drive out negative. But you got to get into the contest. And why get into the contest? Because that's how you create an adventure. There is no other way. It takes both. You've got to learn to laugh, yes, but that's not what the wise men only said. You can't just learn to laugh and keep on laughing. No, that's silly. It says there's also a time to cry. You've got to learn to both laugh and cry. Then it said you must be so sophisticated as not to laugh when it's time to cry. That now gives you an understanding of what life is all about. Sadness and joy, the contest, the difference. And yet it creates the adventure. It takes both to create an adventure. But here's the adventure: to overcome the evil, to put evil in its place. Just like in your mind, you've got to stand guard at the door of your mind and see if you can't suppress, see if you can't do battle with the negative forces. Don't become a victim of yourself. Beware of the thief on the street that's after your purse. But also beware of the thief in your mind that's after your promise. And see if you can't engage in this mental contest and win the day.
Credit goes to our awesome patrons who make videos like this one possible. Consider joining them to support our work. You can also support us by subscribing to our channel and clicking the bell button to get notified when our new videos are released. And as always, thank you for watching.
What most people fail to realize is that pain is inevitable and it is unavoidable.
Now, if you're the type of person that feel that you got to be the best at everything,
we must unweave every strand of the cable of habit slowly and methodically.
There's 4 more fingers pointed right back at you. On every second of your life, because it's yours. No one else is going to give you anything you did not earn or deserve. Life is hard. It's hard, guys, I know it is, but guess what? If you want to live an amazing life, you got to do amazing things. You got to do those things that nobody else wants to do so you can live that life that nobody else can. Get up and just do it. You got to dig. You got to dig deep. You got to own it.
There is no path in life without pain. Whatever it is that you're going after, whoever it is that you've been destined to become, you cannot have it. You will not become it without pain. You will face challenges and difficulties and giants, regardless if you are single, if you are married, if you are a stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home father, if you are an entrepreneur, if you're working a 9-to-5, if you're an educator, if you are an athlete, if you are a musician, a singer, a producer. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are doing. Pain is inevitable. If I'm going to hurt like this, if I'm going to bleed like this, if I'm going to cry like this, let me cry because I'm in the best shape of my life.
That's a great mindset to have. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Wake up. You can't be the best at everything. And if you're running because you're failing, then you've already failed the test. Because you're not man enough and you're not woman enough to realize that maybe, just maybe, I need to fail. So that the next time I'm faced with a challenge, I know exactly what I need to do. But then there's another one that's coming. There's another challenge waiting on me. And then there's another challenge waiting on me. And then there's another challenge waiting on me. That doesn't mean that you got to give up. That doesn't mean you got to quit. You learn from it. You build on it. And then you understand what it means to fail. Learning the things that I've learned in my life, it taught me something.
I don't know what it is for you, but you got to own it. Through all the ups, all the downs, remember that you are not perfect, so get over yourself. One thing I know is that you are perfectly imperfect, just like me. What do you do to better yourself? Are you owning it? Are you taking responsibility, or are you blaming somebody else for the wrongs against you? It's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to fix it. It's your life. Nobody else can do it for you. So get up and go do those things that you don't want to do when you don't want to do them anymore.
Let me cry because I'm conditioned to weather the uphill war. Let me cry because I'm building my relationship. I'm building my business. I'm building my legacy. Let me cry because it hurt, but there is a reward on the other end of my pain. Let me cry tears because I passed the test, because I gave it everything I had. Choose your heart. Everything in life comes with hardship. Make a decision. At some juncture, you will encounter pain. And the moment that you get acquainted with pain, you get acquainted with hardship, you realize that no matter what you do, no matter how much you study, no matter how much you plan, you will not be able to avoid a measure of pain.
I fail right now. I'm failing every day. Every day I fail at something. Maybe this is the time for me to recognize that I got work to do. Maybe this is the time that I need to recognize that I'm not so good at everything. Failing is what's going to build you up. Failure is what's going to teach you the lessons in life. It's okay. Don't try to keep up with everybody else. Don't try to be like everybody else. Recognize that you, my friend, are unique and you are beautiful. But most importantly, you are an idea and you are a purpose and you matter in this world. But you're going to have to fail. The failure is good. The quitting isn't. You got to have the grit and the tenacity not to quit. The grit to never quit. But the idea of learning that failure is a part of living. If you want it, if you believe in it, then go get it.
So get up and get set. Set yourself apart from being average, because you are not average. You are great. It's greatness, that's what it is. It's time for you to get the break that you deserve today and fight this good fight, because you're going to be a fighter every single day for the rest of your life. It's your life. It's your life, so guess what, guys? If you do the hard things in life, life gets easy. But if you do the easy things in life, life is going to be hard. The choice is yours.
Until the cable that once held us in bondage becomes nothing more than scattered strands of wire. It takes the consistent application of a new discipline, a more desirable one, to overcome one which is less desirable. It takes discipline to plan. It takes discipline to execute our plan. It takes discipline to look with full objectivity at the results of our applied plan. And it takes discipline to change either our plan or our method of executing that plan if the results are poor. It takes discipline to be firm when the world throws opinions at our feet. It takes discipline to ponder the value of someone else's opinion when our pride and our arrogance leads us to believe that we are the only ones with the answers. Discipline is a constant human awareness of the need for action and a conscious act by us to implement that action.
But the only way it's permanent is that we alter that governor, that thermostat, and we start to believe we're worth 85 degrees of life, 95 degrees of life, 110 degrees of life. And there's ways we can alter them.
How do we alter it?
A couple different ways. One is what you just said, is that you put yourself in circumstances that are demanding of you past what you think your capacity is, and when you succeed at them, you build a new water line. You do. You throw yourself out there past where you're comfortable, and you do an 85 degrees behavior, and you knock it out of the park, and your brain starts to believe it. Repetitiously, when you start doing that, you build a new line. Now you're 85 degrees. That's number one. The second way, though, is association. If you're around people, and whatever that endeavor is, if it's a sport you're in, or if it's a business, or your faith, or your peace, if you begin to associate with people who live in that space at a higher temperature than you, through association you get heated up.
Yeah.
And so if you're an athlete, for example, you're a 70-degree athlete, and you start training all the time with 85 and 90 degrees, your identity through osmosis goes up. If you're a person who's trying to improve their faith in their life or their personal peace about them.
Discipline is an awareness of the constant need for action and a conscious act to implement that action. If our awareness and our implementations occur at the same time, then we begin a valued sequence of disciplined activity. Now here's the other side of discipline. If there's considerable time that passes between the moment of awareness and the time of our implementation, then that is called procrastination. Doing it tomorrow instead of today. Procrastination, an almost exact opposite of discipline. The voice within us says, get it done. Discipline then says, do it now. Do it to the best of your ability, today, tomorrow, and always, until finally the worthy deed becomes instinctive. Procrastination says later, tomorrow, whenever I get a chance. Procrastination also says, do what is necessary to get by or to impress others.
You all know this. You've seen it. When you start to hang around people that are a little bit more peaceful than you or meditate a little bit more, through that association, over time, the thermostat changes in that area. And so it's both behaving in a certain way and then your associations usually change.
I believe that.
Rule number 2, don't sell your will to win.
Most people's will to win is for sale.
Sometimes you've got to take a break from just about everything disappear, come back, and shock the world. I'm talking to that athlete. I'm talking to that administrator. I'm talking to that nurse, that doctor. I'm talking to that student. I'm talking to that communicator. I'm talking to that pioneer, the inventor. I'm talking to that entrepreneur. I'm talking to that preacher. I'm talking to that person who refuses to stay.
You know, sometimes, man, it's good to hear from somebody that you might think is successful that can share a piece of information, because a lot of people, that's really all that's missing from a person.
Just say, I can. Yeah, come on, I can. I can. Come on, one time. Yep, I will. Yep, I must.
Develop the ability to act. Take action. Not hasty if it isn't required, but don't lose much time. Here's the time to act. When the idea is hot and the emotion is strong.
We do our best when our destinations are beyond the measurement. We are thinking of the finish line, nowhere in process the approach is the destination, and we are never finished. Some of you just got to begin to believe. For some of you, what I want you to do is throw something on a wall. Every time I see you, I say the same thing, because I think we overcomplicate it. It's the power of the choice, the power of using the people around you and not being afraid of failing, but being afraid of not trying. You can't just talk about wanting to win. You have to prepare to win, and you have to expect to win.
Going from this level to the next level, it's just a piece of information. It's not money, it's information. Because being successful is just knowing the principles of success. Like, if you understood a very simple principle, the principle of gratitude, do you understand that if you were to wake up every day and go down the list of things and just tell God what you're grateful for? Don't wake up a single day without going down the list of things you're grateful for. It could be something minute. You know, waking up, you should really thank him every day, because I don't know if you notice or not, you really don't have the ability to wake yourself up. You really don't. A lot of alarm clocks go off and people don't answer the bell.
I don't care if you got to listen to me 1,000 times. I need you to get crystal clear about your future. Because the only reason why you are here, the only reason why you're alive is because you have work to do. And you got to figure out, why on earth are you here? What is your destiny? What is the dream that God has given you? You got to have like a shark mentality, because if a shark swims backward, it dies. A shark can only move forward. And so I need you every single day you wake up to smell blood and go after that dream.
Come on, you ain't hungry no more? Next hunting, I need you to stay focused. Why? You should still be hungry. What have you eaten that got you satisfied? What have you done? What have you accomplished that got you so full?
I have too much to accomplish.
Your alarm clock can go off, but God has to shake you, to wake you, so you hear them. That's, you know, it's not the alarm. So if you wake up every day and you go down the list of things that you're grateful for, what God does in return is he gives you more things to be grateful for, because he's a very wise and generous God, right? If you're not grateful for the things I've given you, and you have no gratitude for it, and that seems to be really mundane to you, it's burdensome, why would I overload you with some more stuff that you ain't grateful for? See, gratitude, man, people don't understand how important that little thing is. Even if you don't have a plan, even if you don't know what your next move is, if you just woke up every day and just thanked him for just all the things you can go down, the next day, the very next day,
to be satisfied with where I am right now. I have too much on the line. I have too many people depending on me to win. I must stay hungry. You got to get hungry, 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 hungry. Eliminate all distractions. Eliminate all distractions. So you got to have a goal. You got to have a dream. You got to get hungry. And then you got to get real disciplined. Because motivation will get you going. A speech will get you fired up. But discipline is going to give you the power to stay committed to whatever that goal is.
You don't belong at the bottom, and it's time for you to get your butt from down there. It's time for you to stop being comfortable at the bottom. Get your butt up and get to where you're supposed to be. The Bible says he was in a pig pen and he came to himself and he went home. Get your butt up.
Do not let misery control the life that you have. Do not let anyone tell you how to live. And do not let anyone validate your purpose. Do not let anyone validate your destiny. Someone told you a long time ago that you wasn't worthy. Someone looked you in the eye and said, he wasn't going to make it I say to you right now that you will make it I say to you right now that you must make it I say to you right now that you must tell excuses, fear, and doubt that it has no place in your place of business. For this is your life that you are fighting for. This is your life that you are living for. And make no mistake, no one is going to do you better than you.
That's the time to act. You say, Mr. Rohn, I'd like to have a library like yours. See if you feel strong about that. What you got to do is get the first book and then get the second book. Before the feeling passes and before the idea gets dim, action pronto, action immediate, action as soon as possible. Because if you don't, here's what happens. We call it the law of diminishing intent. We intend to when the idea strikes us. We intend to when the emotion is high. But now if you don't translate that into action fairly soon, now the intent starts to diminish. And a month from now, it's cold. A year from now, can't be found. So act.
You pushing, and you're pushing, and you're pushing, and you're pushing, and you're doing everything right. I'm not coach right now. I'm your conscience. You're in a fight between will and skill. I say will first because that's where you are. You locked and loaded with skill. You practicing every day, you putting in your work, you buying everything, you making an investment, you living your dream, you walking like your dream, you surrounding yourself around your dream, you got mentors, everything, you putting your work in, you got your skill. Now it's a test of your will. It's a mindset thing you in right now. It's a mindset thing. Because your challenge ain't moving. Your mountain is not moving. You don't feel like you're making any progress. You're not physically moving when you see everything else around you and other people around you moving. You're not making progress. You're in the test of your will right now.
Don't wait for something to happen, you make it happen. You make it happen for a reason and take full responsibility and control of this thing we call life. Excellence, do you really believe that it's something that happens overnight and can't be given to you? No one is going to hand it to you. You have to sleep, you have to breathe, you have to eat it. Every single day of your life applause until you achieve that greatness. When we talk about excellence, we are talking about an obsession to outwork and outperform. Everybody in the room, what is your current standard on life on excellence? Or how you pursue things, how you operate, basically when you show up.
Set up a discipline when the emotions are high and the idea is strong and clear and powerful. That's the time to set up the discipline. Somebody talks about good health and you're stirred. It's right. You need to get a book on nutrition. Get the book before the idea passes and before the emotion gets cold. Go for the book. Start the library. Start the process. Fall on the floor. Do some push-ups. Action. Gotta take action. Otherwise, the wisdom is wasted. Otherwise, the emotion soon passes. Unless you put it into a disciplined activity. Capture it. Disciplines is called how to capture the emotion and how to capture the wisdom and translate it into equity. Disciplines. Now here's what's important about disciplines. All disciplines affect each other. In fact, here's a good philosophical phrase. Everything affects everything else. Nothing stands alone.
Because life says it has a little more test for you. You can look at your challenge with skill, and it will see it just as that. A challenge. Or you can look at your challenge with will and see it as much.
Understand this and listen to me clearly. You may forget this face, you may forget this voice, you may forget who told you, but get your pads out. Don't ever forget these words that I'm about to tell you. If you want to be great in this life, you only have one choice, gentlemen. You only have one choice. You can make choices that just get you remembered, or you can make choices that ultimately make you a legend.
You show up in an excellent way. Do you show up with an average way? How do you show up in a mediocre, have prepared, half thought out way? Listen to me very carefully. Excellence is about standard, and excellence is a requirement for your dream to come true when others are sleeping. You need to be awake. Work on having an excellent driven mindset. Sure, there are going to be some times and you're going to just fall to the left, and you may even fall to the right. You may even fall back. Learn from your mistakes, grow from your mistakes, and become unique, but never quit. Music, don't stop moving forward.
When everybody's out there making mistakes, when everybody's out there not being responsible, are you going to be the one to be responsible? If you are a father, if you are a mother, it is your responsibility to be the best parent that you can be. If you are in charge of a company, or you're a manager, or anything that requires your responsibility to step up, then it is up to you to lead by example. You have to take the lead, not always following, but leading the pack, leading in the right direction, doing the things that will take you to the levels that you need to go and beyond them. But you can't hold back anymore. And you can't say, I'm sorry all the time, because your sorry just ain't gonna cut it. Step up to the plate and be responsible. Step up to the plate and do what's necessary. Step up to the plate and do all the things that is required, and then we can talk. Then we can talk about the next thing in your life. Then you can have that intimate conversation with yourself, within yourself, and realize that this is it. Now I got more work to do. There comes a time in your life where you have to step up to the plate. There comes a time in your life where you have to understand the significance of what it means to be responsible. To have the responsibility to understand that you have to take full control of your actions. Now, many people tend to wait and not get themselves in a position to where they need to be and to be accountable for what they do in their lives. Being responsible, taking full action of everything you do in your life depends on you. Now, many people are waiting for something. They're waiting for something to happen. They're waiting for someone to give them the okay to move on. But this is not something that you need to be thinking about. You have got to realize that it is up to you to make moves, to move forward, to get the job done. Being responsible, taking full responsibility to everything that you do, from the way you speak, the way you walk, maybe even the way you dress. Because your presentation and everything you do depends on you. I'm here to let you know right now, ladies and gentlemen, that you got to be the one to take action. You got to be the one to realize that it is up to you to get things done and get it done the right way. Sometimes people just don't want to be responsible. They want to make excuses. They want to hold back. They're waiting for something. As I said before, waiting is not going to get the job done. Ask yourself, when you get up in the morning, what is your daily routine? What is your routine every single day of your life? What did you miss out on? What did you forget?
Let's be honest. How many of you sometimes you build with one hand, but sometimes you tear down with that same hand? Be honest, where are you? Come on, be honest. Yep, thank you, be honest. Yep. That's not the goal is not to self-sabotage. The goal is not to hurt yourself. The goal is not to the goal is not to get here and then hurt yourself and does that make sense? Good, all right, empathy. Now I want to add to this one though. Here's what you have to teach those who are working with you. All right, the last one, which is AQ, adversity quotient. The ability of an individual to think through, manage, and endure challenges in life. Listen to me, I'm telling you, so many people have been taken out the game by COVID. It was Winston Churchill who said, never let a good crisis go to waste. So we've got to teach them that in the crisis is the best time. Why? Because most people are going to fall off. This is the best time. It's the best time to make money. This is the best time to get with a team. This is the best time to be with a company. This is the best time to be with a group, not to be by yourself. This is the best time. If there was ever a time you needed community, if there was ever a time you needed other people, if there was ever a time you needed resources, if there was ever a time you needed to be with a machine, that this is the time. So they need to understand that, yep, a lot of us do IQ. That's the company, that's the product. EQ, we teach people, how to be persuasive. We teach them how to manage their emotions. But what we have to teach people so that we don't lose the 90%, because most of them the 90% get lost because of challenges. And we got to teach them that when a challenge comes, you can either drown with the waves or you can surf on them. I want you to think about that. There's some people who drown with waves. There's some people who surf on them. And we've got to teach people how to do what? Surf on them. We've got to teach people that a setback is a setup for a comeback. We got to teach people that trials and tribulations are only there to make you strong. We got to teach people that trials don't mean quit. Trials mean keep going. Listen to me. This is stuff we can teach. We can teach people that. We can teach people a realistic time frame, and we can use ourselves to show them what we did. We can teach people how to persevere. It's just not a natural gift for some people, but it can be taught. Good. Anybody else? Why did the 90 quit? They thought it would be easy. Good. So it's not the fact that it's hard that's difficult, it's that they thought it was going to be easy that made it difficult. So if they can learn in the first week or two, the first 30 days, that is not going to be that's not going to be easy, it's going to be difficult, we got a chance of keeping them a lot longer. Does that make sense?
It's partly responsibility. I don't think that people have talked to young people about responsibility in any real sense. And being on their side at the same time for like 50 years. And that's just too long, because most people find the meaning in their life through responsibility. Some people just die, and horribly. Yeah, life's rough, no doubt about it. And if good luck comes your way, then you should be grateful for it. And if happiness manages to manifest itself, you should be grateful for that too. Well, I think the deck is stacked against everyone to some degree because life is very difficult and we all die. So, but some people do have it harder than others. And all of us have it very hard at some times in our lives. It's like, well, what's the alternative? You take responsibility for that and try to struggle uphill because the alternative makes everything worse. It's not like it's fair. I know perfectly well that people have brutal lives. I've been a psychotherapist for 20 years. I've seen things you can't imagine, horror shows that you can't fathom, and people who have been hurt in so many ways, so many dimensions. It's like, bitter? Should they be bitter? Should they be resentful? Should they become violent? These things don't help. They have to struggle uphill despite their excess burden. And it's responsibility, not guilt. You know, it's not necessarily their fault. That's not the point. It's hard to tell. The broader social effect is not going to be good because lots of the things that are happening in the universities that aren't good are already leaking out into the broader social world. Part of what's going to happen is that people are going to stop coming and speaking on campuses. The comedians in the United States, many of them already won't speak on it. They won't come and do their shows on campus because everybody's so sensitive to offense. But it also drives political polarization, which isn't a good thing unless you want to drive political polarization. And I think the universities are going to cut the branch off that they sit on. It's a terrible problem. So imagine okay, so the rule is you can't offend anyone, all right? Let's say you're speaking to one person, I can't offend you. All right, fair enough. What if I'm speaking to 10 people? Do I get to offend 1 in 10? How about 1 in 100? How about 1 in 1,000? You're going to come out on stage and you're going to say something important about something vital, and you're not going to offend 1 person in 1,000? Well, you can't say anything about anything important ever without offending probably the person you're talking to. Important speech about important issues, especially contentious issues, is instantly offensive. This is true. Yeah, you can actually try listening when you're having a conversation, right? Assuming that both people who are having the conversation are of goodwill and they're not trying to play tricks and they're struggling towards the truth, which neither of them hold completely and both understand that. Yeah, you could reach across fairly large gaps and negotiate peace. Thank God for that, or we'd be at each other's throats all the time.